the Herd Line News.
Yeah, it's weird. It's been a week where we haven't talked a lot of Cowboys. Thankfully, right? They're not a good football team right now. They're looking to rebound from that loss to the Niners with a big game against the Falcons Sunday. Interesting line movement here, Cowherd. Dallas has had a lot of distractions all year, and that's made things difficult on them. But McCarthy, he pointed to one of the team's biggest issues that needs to be addressed.
Statistics. I'll lose the badminton game in statistics right now. We're not. We got some hard ones that it's going to take a while to get them back where they need to be. But our big thing is, and it being the obvious, is just the turnover ratio right now. And that's our biggest hindrance because it holds back a lot of productivity.
What?
Who could that be a shot at? I don't know. A guy with 3 straight games of 2 interceptions? Dak Prescott?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, he had 2 picks against San Fran, 2 against Detroit, 2 against Pittsburgh.
Yeah. It's a lot of interceptions.
He's not playing great. And he had 2 earlier in the season against the Saints.
No, you're not allowed to criticize Dak. Interweb gets very testy.
So this line is 3. It briefly went down to 2.5 yesterday when it looked like Micah Parsons might return. And then Parsons didn't practice. It's like Parsons, Bland, Diggs is banged up. I don't know, man. It's starting to feel to me like this is the Falcons as the side here. I think indoor game, fast team.
If you got it at -2, I really like it.
The Falcons always screw around with like extra points, kickers. They'll settle for 4 kicks, and then it's a 12-10 final.
Well, I think Atlanta does more things well right now than the Cowboys do. That's my take. You get to a point after week 6 and 7, it's all the fool's gold is gone. Like, what do you do well? Atlanta protects the quarterback very well. They can run the football. They don't rush the passer. So Dak will be comfortable. So that tells me it's going to be a high-scoring game. When Dak's comfortable, when you speed Dak up, that's when you get the mistakes. When he's comfortable, but Dallas doesn't run the ball. So I think Dak's going to throw 45 times. I think McCarthy looks at that and says, they don't have a pass rush. We don't have a run game. So if you like Dak, bet the Cowboys. If you question Dak in big moments, take Atlanta. Because I think he's going to drop back 45 times. They don't create any pressure.
Yeah. Huh. I think I like the Falcons here. I don't know. The stuff with McCarthy and Jerry Jones and Dak and the lack of run game and the Diggs and it's not good. I think your word applies here, noisy. It's just been a noisy week, season, everything. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this. Make no mistake about it. Like, McCarthy is absolutely, trying to be like, don't blame me, man. He's saying the biggest hindrance to winning is essentially Dak Prescott turning the ball over. Like, that is what he's saying. There's no other way around it, right? Dak is the one who keeps turning the ball over. And this is the problem when you have a coach who's like on the hot seat where they're just like, don't blame me, man. Like, what do you want me to do? My quarterback keeps turning the ball over and it's not my fault. Don't put this on me. What do you want me to do? I'm not telling him to throw the ball where he's throwing it like that. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So this is from Travis O'Shea. I reference him a lot, right? He's a really smart, obviously knows a ton about football, playing, coaching, everything. And he is a longtime Dallas Cowboys fan, so you can't say that he's being a hater of some sort. Now, this is what he was talking about with Dak, because I was going to say it, but I said, figured, what, let me just read this comment, because there was a couple comments that I think are really smart and in terms of like what Dak needs to do. And you can see like, he was talking about, what's wrong with Dak, and it's like forcing balls down the field into tight windows to a number 4 receiver on first down, and when you can turf it or hit a check down is something a high-paid quarterback has to do, right? And it's like some of those issues that continue to compound for Dak, right? And I think it's just one of those things that's where Mike McCarthy is kind of like, I'm not telling him to do this right now. Dak is the one that's kind of putting us at this disadvantage. Because then I even came back and asked him, I was like, well, I'm curious, like, what do you think? Do you think that's more on coaching or, is that more on McCarthy or Dak? And now he came back and said, I'd say more on Dak. He must and has to know and do this at this time in his career. And to pull this team, he has to become that guy. He's just not. Like I said at the start of the year, I wouldn't trade Micah, but I didn't think it would be this bad. They got to make, They got to make some moves now and get several round picks and then hit on them. Very good at the early rounds and even some steals in the third. They need some guys to make names for themselves in later rounds. This part, however, lands on coaching, which they don't have. Hopefully, they go hard after Ben Johnson. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that I think it'll all depend on who you think Dak Prescott is. There still seems to be such conflict about Dak. And this is why I said, even if you're missing some weapons, even if you don't have the best run game or whatever it may be, those are the mistakes. Those are the issues that Dak Prescott is doing to put his team at a disadvantage. Just bad decision making, which has nothing to do with any injuries on defense or the lack of your number 2 receiver. It's just bad game management. It's making bad throws at the wrong time and doing so consistently. It's just not high-level quarterback play that you would expect from a guy who is now the highest-paid football player of all time, right? Like, we're talking about basics and elementary type stuff here. And so, again, you can't just be like, this is hating. Like, I literally just read word for word from a longtime Dallas Cowboys fan, and someone who knows football way better than the average fan. That's for sure. That is for sure. So I just find it actually really interesting that Mike McCarthy said that right now. To me, what that feels like, Mike McCarthy is saying, stop putting blame on me. Because Jerry Jones came out and said, Jerry Jones pretty much kind of called out coaching and said, the guys are great. I don't know what the game plan is or the plays, or I forget exactly how he worded it. Because then Mike McCarthy was like, hey, I think the plays are pretty good. I'll take a look, kind of tongue-in-cheek comment. But it's this back and forth now. Who are we blaming? The players? The coaching? The GM owner? Right? Like, that's why this continues to be a mess. It continues to be a mess. And this is where once things start to become a mess and everyone feels the heat, everybody wants to blame everyone else. Because Jerry Jones is like, I blame coaching because he's like, I got these players. The players aren't at the fault. Because if you blame the players, then Jerry's is responsible. And now Jerry's saying the players are fine. It's essentially the coaching. And now the coach is like, don't blame me. I have a great game plan. I'm doing everything great. Blame Dak. He's the one that's turning the ball over. What do you want me to do? He's throwing interception after interception. I have nothing to do with that. That's on him. Don't blame me. So it's just this messy ball, man. Like J-Mac and Colin are saying, oh, it's noisy. It's messy. It's messy. Sometimes things can be noisy and it's still not ideal, but this is just mess. You got everyone pointing fingers at everyone right now in all different directions. And believe me, the locker room feels that. And believe me, Dak hears that. Whether it's a friend, a family member, whatever, they're like, yo, did you hear McCarthy said the biggest hindrance to winning is turnovers? You think, like, Dak's not dumb. Dak's a really smart person. He's not dumb. He's not like, oh, I didn't hear that. Or, oh, I wonder what he meant. I mean, and don't get me wrong. Dak knows that he needs to not turn the ball over too, right? Like, Dak knows. He's not dumb. He's smart. He knows when he makes a bad throw, it's on him. Right? Like, he knows. He's not like blaming other people. He knows. I think Dak does take accountability for his own actions. Doesn't mean you want to hear your head coach say that, though. Doesn't mean he wants you to put that spotlight on him. So, pretty interesting. This game honestly got more and more juicy by the second. I already thought this was going to be a really fascinating game just because of the matchups, because of, what the Falcons do. What makes their team special versus what some of the deficits are for the Dallas Cowboys. There is potential for the Falcons to look really good against this team, but of course, the Dallas Cowboys, they're not this big, massive tomato can garbage team, so they will have some fight in them. So I'm just curious to see how this game honestly unfolds, because I could see it going in so many different directions, but I do think, I will say this, I'm not saying I'm predicting this, but I could see that if the Cowboys don't look good against the Falcons, and it was kind of similar to versus the Saints or the Ravens or whoever, that it has the potential to really just implode, right? That it just has the potential to just be an absolute unraveling disaster where it's just fire alarms going everywhere. Because again, at this point, everyone's blaming everyone else. So everyone's looking at the other person. They're not taking responsibility for their own actions, and it could get messy very quickly, and there'll be just more contraction and just tension within that team, especially on the road against the Falcons. It's going to be interesting, honestly. There could be some sparks at this game for sure. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, talking about Dak essentially, everyone pointing fingers at everyone? Let me know in the comments below. I'll read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.